For this tutorial, we will be doing the interior paper designs for our squash books. This is part 4 in the squash book series. Here are some examples of different layouts using different kinds of pattern paper. You will need a total of 10 smaller squares, each measuring 4 inches by 4 inches. Think about patterns and solid colors and how they work together aesthetically. Here, I already have some cut solid black squares. Again, they measure 4 inches by 4 inches square. I also have this larger pattern paper that I want to use and cut out more squares from. Here I'm going to flip the paper over. That way I'm using the non-pattern side just in case I make a mistake and need to erase. You will use the ruler and line it up at the bottom of your sheet and tick marks on the paper at 4 inches, 8 inches, and 12 inches. We're going to do the same to the top of the paper, but make sure to not rotate the paper or the ruler. This will keep your marks more accurate when measuring. Again, you will mark at 4 inches, 8 inches, and 12 inches. Now line up your marks on both sides with a ruler and draw a straight line. Some people skip this step and don't line up their marks. Usually it makes for a really wonky square, which we don't want. Okay, now it's time to just rotate your paper again and do the measurements on both sides again. This will be the same measurements of 4 inches, 8 inches, and 12 inches. Make sure to do it on both the top and the bottom when you're measuring. Then line up your ruler with the ticks and make that straight line again. Grab some scissors and cut out your squares. I also did the same to this scrap piece of paper. This paper was used for the front and back cover of my book, but I thought some of the same paper would tie nicely in the inside of my book. We will do the same with the scrap piece and make sure to measure the top and bottom of this as well, and make sure that each section is 4 inches by 4 inches for the squares within. When you have cut all your squares out, you should have a total of 10 squares. Down the center of your squash book, you will need a total of 4 squares, and these are going to stay exactly in this square form. And I like to combine some solid colored ones and mix them here with a few patterns. That way I'm thinking about where I'm going to place writings and maybe pictures. Along each side of the book, you will be cutting 6 of your squares into triangles. Each can be cut down a diagonal center. You can mix and match where they go, but they must be placed inside the creases. Make sure to use a ruler to draw a straight diagonal line before cutting. And then after figuring out your overall design with the pattern and solid patterns and papers, take the time to glue each piece in place. And remember to glue within the creases again so it does not affect the opening and closing of your squash book. Here is my finished book with the center papers glued. And I like to test out my folds again just to make sure it opens and closes with nothing getting in the way. This is working out nicely and I'm going to do it a couple times. Perfect. Now it's time to personalize your squash book. This is where you can add different writings like poems or favorite quotes and sayings, or even collage images from magazines. Sometimes it's also fun to draw different things within the sections, or even print out small tiny photos either in black and white or in color and place borders around them so they stand out. You can also add additional elements like stickers or different flattened objects to really add personal touches to your piece. Sometimes pictures can be cropped or shaped around the crease with borders so that you can see them in full. And that's how you make a creative squash book. I hope you enjoyed this project series. Thanks so much for watching, and best of luck in your creative process and making your own squash book.